This is the story of a king who wanted to test something very simple but very powerful. He wanted to know whether his people only complained about problems or actually solved them. Long ago, in a prosperous kingdom, there lived a king who was known not just for his power, but for his wisdom. He understood something that many rulers failed to see. A kingdom is not made strong by gold or armies or grand palaces. A kingdom becomes truly strong when its people are responsible, courageous, and willing to take action when it matters. But the king had a concern. Over time, he had noticed a change in his people. They had become comfortable. They talked a lot, complained a lot, but rarely took responsibility. Everyone expected someone else to fix the problems. So one day, the king decided to teach his sons a lesson they would never forget. Now, a lesson that no book could ever teach. Early in the morning, before the city became busy, he called his soldiers and gave them a strange order. "Place a large stone right in the middle of the main road," he said, "and then leave it there." The soldiers were confused, but they followed the command without question. They carried a huge, heavy rock and placed it right in the center of the busiest road in the kingdom. Anyone passing through would have to stop. After giving the order, the king took his sons to the top of a tall tower that overlooked the road. From there, they could see everything clearly without being noticed. "Watch carefully," the king said to his sons. "Today, you will learn something important about people and about life." As the sun rose and the day began, the road slowly filled with activity. The first people to arrive were wealthy courtiers of the kingdom. Dressed in fine clothes, riding in decorated chariots, they moved with pride and importance. Servants walked beside them, carrying their belongings. But as soon as they reached the stone, their chariots came to a sudden stop. The men looked at the rock, and immediately their faces filled with anger. "What is this nonsense?" one of them shouted. "What kind of king allows such a mess on the main road?" Another added, "This is unacceptable. We pay taxes, and still the roads are not maintained properly." They complained loudly, cursed the situation, and blamed the king for his carelessness. But not one of them stepped down from their chariot. Not one of them even touched the stone. After a few moments of frustration, they simply turned their chariots around and took another route, leaving the problem exactly where it was. The king's sons watched silently. After some time, a group of farmers came walking down the same road. Their clothes were simple, their bodies tired from working in the fields since early morning. When they saw the stone, they stopped. They looked at each other. One of them said, "This must be a sign from God." Another nodded and said, "Perhaps it is a test." They folded their hands, whispered a short prayer, and then continued walking. They did nothing. The stone remained exactly where it was. The king's sons exchanged glances, but said nothing. A little later, a brave warrior approached. He was one of the king's most loyal knights. Strong, disciplined, and respected by many, when he saw the rock, he immediately understood that it could cause trouble. "This is dangerous," he said to himself. Without wasting time, he turned his horse around and rode quickly toward the palace to inform the king. He wanted the problem to be solved, but not by himself. Again, the stone remained where it was. As the day went on, many more people passed by. Some stopped and complained. Some ignored it. Some blamed others. Some expected help. But no one took responsibility. Slowly, the sun began to set. The sky turned orange, and the road became quiet. The king's sons were starting to wonder if anyone would do anything at all. And then someone appeared, a simple farmer. He was walking slowly, his body bent with exhaustion. His clothes were covered in dust, his face dripping with sweat. On his back, he carried a heavy load after a long day of work in the fields. When he reached the stone, he stopped. He looked at it for a moment. Then he looked down the empty road. He took a deep breath. In his mind, a thought formed. If I leave this here, someone might get hurt tomorrow. The king cannot be everywhere. Maybe this is my responsibility. He gently placed his heavy load on the side of the road. Then, without hesitation, he walked toward the stone. He placed both his hands against it and pushed. At first, nothing happened. The stone didn't move. His muscles tightened. His hands pressed harder. His feet dug into the ground. He tried again. Still nothing. His breathing became heavy. Sweat rolled down his face. His arms began to shake. Anyone else might have given up, but not him. He stepped back for a moment, gathered his strength, and pushed again with everything he had. This time, the stone shifted, just a little. That small movement gave him hope. He pushed again, and again, and again. Finally, with one last effort, the stone rolled away from the center of the road. The path was clear. The farmer stepped back, breathing heavily, his entire body trembling with exhaustion. But in that moment, he felt something deeper than tiredness. He felt peace, because he had done the right thing. As he bent down to pick up his load, something caught his eye. Right where the stone had been, there was a small leather pouch. He looked around, confused. Slowly he picked it up and opened it. Inside were shining gold coins. His eyes widened in disbelief. Before he could understand what was happening, he heard a voice. "Well done." The farmer turned around, for standing behind him was the king, and beside him his sons. The farmer was shocked. He immediately bowed his head in respect. The king stepped forward with a gentle smile. "These gold coins belong to you," he said. "You are the only one today who understood your responsibility. You did not complain. You did not wait for someone else. You chose to act." The farmer stood speechless. The king then turned to his sons. "Remember this," he said calmly. "Obstacles are not placed in our path to stop us. They are placed there to test us, to reveal who we truly are. Some people will complain. Some will ignore. Some will pass the responsibility to others. But only a few will step forward and take action. Those are the people who move ahead in life. Those are the people who build their own path." The sons listened carefully. In that moment, they understood something no book could ever teach them. As the sun disappeared behind the horizon, the lesson stayed with them forever. And maybe it is a lesson for all of us, because in life, we all face obstacles, big or small, and every time we have a choice to complain, to ignore, or to act. Because at the end of the day, success does not come to those who wait. It comes to those who take responsibility. So the next time you face a problem, don't ask, "Why is this here?" Ask yourself, "What can I do about it?" Because sometimes the obstacle in your path is actually the opportunity meant just for you. And maybe that is where your real journey begins. If this story made you think, take a second and share it with someone who needs this message today. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were there? Would you walk away or would you push the stone? And if you want more powerful stories like this that can change the way you think and see the world, make sure to subscribe to the channel because your next mindset shift might just be one story away.